Trying
And
to reach for a
there
paper.
we go. Boom. We're live. Hey, Lana, how are you?
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. It's been a few weeks since we did this.
I know, and then we'll have your show next week, but my shows won't be because it's Thursday. I didn't even know Thanksgiving was next
Oh,
week.
yeah, that's right. It is a week from Thanksgiving, right?
It seems like it
Wow.
just turned November. How is Thanksgiving next week?
That
Doesn't
is
feel like it.
insane. You know
And
what's going
so
to be
Christmas. Oh, go
even
ahead.
more insane is that the next Thanksgiving could be either the best Thanksgiving ever or the scariest and worst
Oh.
Thanksgiving in
We're
the
gonna
history of this
have
country.
we're all going to have like anxiety.
Oh,
It's gonna, what are we gonna do?
well, we're going to figure out what we're going to do. You and I are going to talk this through, and we're going to
I'm gonna need
ease
therapy.
probably some minds and maybe our own. Since it's been a couple weeks, we definitely have a lot of things to catch up on. Obviously,
Yeah,
this is the Black and White Show with Brian Rundle and Lana Quest. Last I left, by the way, my cat is back in the house.
I'm so
I told you,
so happy.
trapped in a garage for 3 weeks, no food, no water. I have no idea how this little guy survived, but he's back in the building.
That's like, so did your neighbors just like get home, open up the garage, and like out
They
walks
were
your
home
cat?
for 2 days and still didn't realize he was in there.
Did they hear him?
So, yeah. So, what happened is he got out, went into their garage. They closed it, left the country for 3 weeks, came back for a couple days, went out in the garage, saw him. Now, of course, I had posters all over the place. I had social media stuff, everything. And I'm sitting at the bar watching football with friends, and I get a message from Facebook Messenger, and I see the message come on there, and it says, "Hey, this might be your cat." And it's one of those things where you have to press the button to see the actual picture. Now, I've been getting numerous false alarms over the
Right,
last couple weeks. People
right.
were sending me things, "Hey, is this your cat?" And it was like a gray and black cat. It's like I
Black and
appreciate
white
you being
cat.
nice, but
All black
yeah,
cat.
exactly.
Hey, this cat needs a home. You don't
Uh,
have a cat right now?
I even had the posters in color, so you know it's an orange and white cat. But
It's a tabby.
anyway, I press the button. Sure enough, that is my cat. I tell my
Oh.
friends, I'll be back. I got to go. So I rush home, get in the garage. That cat in the garage is filled with a bunch of stuff. Can't hear, or he doesn't see me. He hears my voice. He comes sprinting to me and
Oh.
meowing and just, doing the whole
Oh,
rubbing
so
his.
wait, when they saw him, he wouldn't come out?
Well, they saw him and they just kept him in the garage, I guess,
Okay,
just to make sure he was,
okay.
in a place where he
Right,
didn't get
okay.
away
Right, right,
anywhere. And
right.
they gave him a little
Yeah, yeah.
food and some water. And, so I guess as soon as they found him, he was still in that garage. So I just went back there, saw him, threw him in the carrier, brought him home, and he is home safe. So I don't believe he survived, but Ray is a battler.
Yeah,
Yeah, but Ray's a badass. But,
that's amazing. I
so
wish cats could talk, but sorry, go ahead.
No, since we start off with what I perceive as good news, let's continue that theme of good news. Today, we saw some economic news that has continued to show that Joe Biden and his administration seem to be doing well. Let's say this: the feds appear to be doing the right thing at this point. Now, the feds do work separately from the president, but all this idea that Joe Biden spent all this money and because Joe Biden was president, that's why inflation was high, and that's why people still perceive it as being extremely high, which it's
Right,
not.
right,
It's down significantly, especially from a year ago.
right.
So the idea that Joe Biden being president and the inflation is high really is losing its luster, and that's one thing the Republicans need going into 2024 is the inflation still being high. Maybe they don't even need it, though. I think maybe they should need the perception of it still being high.
Right.
But anyway, let's go. Let's talk about that here for a minute. Inflation was flat in October for the previous month, providing a hopeful sign that stubbornly high prices are easing their grip on the U.S. economy and giving a potential green light to the Federal Reserve to stop raising interest rates, which it appears They're signaling that they are done raising rates, which
Mm.
for so many different reasons. The Consumer Price Index, which measures a broad basket of community used goods and services, increased 3.2% from a year ago, despite being unchanged for the month, according to seasonally adjusted numbers from the Labor Department on Tuesday. Economists surveyed by Dow Jones have been looking for respective readings of 0.1% and 3.3%. The headline CPI had increased to 0.4% in September. There's a gentleman named Bryce Doty. He's a portfolio manager at Sit Fixed Income Advisors. Sounds a little shady, but
It does.
I'm guessing that this guy will know more than the guy next door or the guy at the bar. His quote was, "The Fed looks smart for effectively ending its tightening cycle as inflation continues to slow. Yields are down significantly as the last of investors not convinced the Fed's is done or likely throwing in the towel." So obviously good news for many reasons. Inflation's just always been a thing in this country that has happened, and it's always had to have been dealt with, and it appears that it is being dealt with. And what makes this recession a little bit different than the other ones is, or I'm sorry, the inflation makes this a little different than the other ones, is it usually leads to a pretty harmful recession. And it appears as if we are not seeing that. We're not only seeing the inflation go down, but we're seeing the jobs still being created. We see
Right.
income going up, which
Right.
is just not normal.
Right.
So, how to get this message across. And I know they're sensitive about it because you still have Americans who say, hey, I'm not feeling it. So don't sit here and try to blow smoke up my ass. Don't try to tell me this stuff is happening when it's not. But clearly it is. Clearly we're heading in the right direction.
Right.
And, there's a lot of positives that are coming out of this.
Right. And I think like when people keep saying that they're not feeling it, like I'm not sure they know what they're supposed to be feeling.
I
Like at this
agree.
point, like no one's walking a check to your house. Like I don't know, bread's not going to be 10 cents. I I don't know what people expect. I just think, I don't necessarily feel like I could be like, oh my God, the economy is wonderful. But I do know it's doing good because I know that there are jobs everywhere. I know that the gas prices aren't as high as they were. Like we're
Correct. And
still
that's what helped this inflation report, by the way.
right. We're in New England, in Massachusetts, and the gas is like, I guess 3.49 for
Mhm.
regular. I mean, probably higher than down south, but it's good for us. Like for our state, I know that it is good, right? Somebody in California could be like, my gas is like 4.59, but
Yeah.
that's average for California, right?
Yeah.
That's not it going up for you. That's just kind of the way it rolls for you. Like, so I don't understand what the hell people. I don't understand what people want. I just think people need to complain about something all the time.
That is
No time.
100% correct. And I hear it all the time, whether I'm talking to clients or I'm talking to just anybody. People just have to find a reason to be angry and to find a reason now, especially nowadays, because we are all on taking sides. We're all taking a certain side. And if you're on the other side, it doesn't matter what the numbers say. They are still convinced that inflation is as high as it's ever been and that they're hurting, even though they are out at restaurants all the time. They're going to movies, they're going to concerts, they're going all over the place.
Cruises everywhere. It's not stopping anyone's flow. Spending, spending, spending. And that's the reason why your luxuries aren't going down because you're being luxurious.
Well, that's the thing. The consumer price index, is thriving. The consumer confidence is high.
Mhm.
So, I mean, everything's pointing in the right direction, and everything is getting better. And again, I watch these videos, and I was watching some before this, and it's a lot of different people. I see there's these guys, the good liars, Walter Matheson, of
Mhm.
course, Jordan Klepper. They go to these Trump rallies, they go to all these things, and they're sitting there talking to them about the economy and inflation, and they're talking about how inflation's out of control. But at the same time, they're talking about how they spent $2,000 over the last few months on MAGA swag and just stuff like this. And it's like, oh, you people are nuts.
That's a good point because you just said earlier people are complaining about like they're not feeling it in their pocket, but they're giving their money to Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What did they feel when Donald Trump was president? Like, what were they saying? The economy sucks, or were they just not saying anything? Because
Well,
Trump was busy saying, "It's wonderful. You see, it's wonderful. The sky is purple, right? You see it. It's like constantly gaslighting everyone." So, I, I don't know.
well, that was Trump's thing, is that and I will admit that his first few years, up until COVID, the economy was doing
Well, he
fine
got
and it
a
was
good
doing good.
economy
But
from
as we said
Obama.
before, it's not because of any policy that Donald Trump implemented that made the economy
Well, it was good.
thrive.
He got a great economy. He didn't get
That's
a bad
exactly what he did. And
economy.
you still have people with this idea and this notion that he inherited. First of all, Republican
Um,
presidents over the last 30, 40 years plus, and it might even go beyond that, have
mhm.
not inherited a bad presidency following a Democrat. It just hasn't
Right,
happened.
right.
Economically,
They can't
world
name a
peace.
time,
Yeah,
right, right.
everything. No, everything is usually fine.
Yeah,
But when a Democrat takes over, we are in trouble. There's shit. I
yeah,
mean, Bill Clinton took over a massive recession. Uh, Barack Obama took over probably the second, and it's got
mhm.
an argument to maybe be the worst
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
economic breakdown
Took
in the
on
history of the country.
banks, the auto industry,
Yeah,
mortgage company, like, that's all the leading spenders, like, that's the money. The money was the mortgages and the auto industry and the banks. Those people are going down? How are the
right.
rest of us gonna survive?
That is correct. That's when we're in trouble. When they are, when they're having to figure it out, that's when we're in trouble. And Obama did, by all accounts. And if you look at anybody who is an expert, and I'm not just saying it because I love the guy, I'm saying it because
Mm.
it there seems to be a pretty clear consensus that he handled that situation about as good as you could possibly handle it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, of course, Biden takes over the disaster that Trump did, that was COVID. And I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking, why do people hate Dr. Fauci? And it started to dawn on me a little bit. I don't know why it didn't dawn on me earlier, but it really started with this COVID thing. So, of course, COVID hits.
Mhm.
And Donald Trump starts to realize that this could be bad for his presidency, but not because of the deaths, but because of the economy. Because when you go into any kind of presidential election, whoever's leading on the economy usually wins the presidency.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think that's where they started getting into his head.
Yeah.
Hey, we need to stop this lockdown shit and we need to get the economy thriving again. Because if you don't, then you're going to have a massive mark on your record that shows the economy sucks
Right.
and you're not going to get reelected. But it turned out he did it so poorly and went completely in the opposite direction that people started thinking, well, my mom and dad just fucking died and I voted for you. I'll still vote for you again, but my parents are dead. My brother's dead. My uncle and my cousin are dead. Because of COVID, you didn't
Yeah,
take it seriously. You said it
yeah,
was dumb. You said it was stupid.
yeah.
And that's exactly why he lost. He lost because he handled that in the most poor possible way he could.
Just lie to people, have them on
Lied.
tape lying. Like, downplay it.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
he has Fauci on TV going, hey, you guys got to take this seriously. And that pissed Donald Trump off
Yeah.
because, and so that's now why he's this villain for the right. And even though their own family members were dying, it was just like, you know what? Fuck this COVID shit. Even though there were some governments that did shut down, but there were also too, even if a government didn't shut you down, we're talking about major corporations. Disney World shut down, Las
Mhm.
Vegas shut down on their own. They didn't do this because anybody told them to do this.
Right.
All your sporting events shut down because
Did Florida shut down? Did you?
yeah,
Yes.
we had a brief shutdown in Florida, and then of course DeSantis was the king of fuck COVID, the economy, and of course he fudged some numbers too to
Yeah.
make COVID not look as bad, so he can start reinvigorating the economy. But even during that time, Disney World still said, "Fuck you, we are not opening." And first of all, opening ourselves to lawsuits
Yeah.
and opening ourselves to because this was a worldwide uh,
It's
issue.
like, were people not so during the pandemic time, and I don't know, it was just kind of a blur. Did Fox News just not report on what was going on in New York? Because any other time they love New York and the
Right,
crime, right? But
right.
because if you just turned on any news station, what you saw in New York, I mean, you know, running out of like morgues and
Yeah. What was
refrigerated
happening in
morgues and
Florida too?
right, because people were dying and had to be like sent other places
Hmm.
for care because there just wasn't any room. So then when they die in another state that they're from, then the family has to figure out how to get them from the body from
Their
man,
hospitals were running out of you had no ventilators, and people were just being set up in the
right?
parking lots of these hospitals.
Man,
I mean,
that
what is going on? That to
how do you
me,
see that? Because there's no way, even if you only watch Fox News, you fucking saw that because we know Trumpsters are on Facebook like nobody's business because they love Facebook.
yeah,
And it's all over. You saw that. Like,
yeah.
how are you not seeing that? How are you saying that's not true? It's fake news. Who the fuck has that kind of like production money to put on a film like that?
Well, the other problem is too, let's say they did catch it on Fox News. There is a portion of them because there's social medias. You could probably get your news just as much from social media as you can through Fox News or any of the cable news stations. And there were a lot of, that's when QAnon. And by the way, what happened to QAnon? Is that still around? Is that dude still sending messages? I'm not a QAnon guy.
Oh, wait,
So
which dude? Which
so you've heard of
yeah, yeah,
QAnon,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
But what
QAnon was a dude that was this
no.
magical dude that nobody knew who he was other than he
No.
was this he worked for the government,
Ah,
secret in the military and all this stuff. And he was the one that was sending these messages out to these freaks. And
gotcha.
it became this huge thing. But apparently, I guess he's not sending out messages anymore. So, but anyway, what I was saying is that on social media, even if they saw the bad news on Fox News, they can still replace what they wanted to believe on social media when people would go up and go, hey, they're filming the hospital and say, nobody's even here. Look, it's fake. Nobody's even here. There's not even COVID deaths going on. And there was a lot of people who believe that as well. So,
Yeah, and then you had like the people who were like, when the vaccine came out, I don't know. Did you see the video? What did he say? We gotta put that video of that woman like ticking like crazy, like
yeah,
she just I can't stop moving. I just had the vaccine, but her freaking makeup on is perfect. Like who put her
right.
makeup on? Like
Yeah.
this is ridiculous.
How about the ones you remember the ones early on where they were sticking keys to themselves and saying that there was magnetic forces from the vaccine and now everything is sticking to them?
Wow. Just stop. It's just so asinine. Oh
I
my,
mean,
where are we? What? Why
I
are
don't know.
politics so stupid right now? All right, Trump.
Well, politics is stupid right now because we have a lot of people that are involving themselves in politics that have no business
Right.
involving themselves in
That's
it. That's
exactly what it is.
exactly what it is. It's become I'm trying to think of a good thing that used to be sort of like a underground thing that was popular with a bunch of people. There's probably a musical group that it was just like a certain group of people loved these musicians and then somehow they got out and became mainstream and now everybody's involved in it and the people who originally loved it are like, "Oh, fuck you. Who are you people?" you know.
No, and no, you're absolutely right. I mean, the Charlemagne, what is that guy that the bull wants to run for Senate or Congress? The guy with the Charlemagne, whatever
Oh,
guy,
the shaman.
insurrection,
Yeah, the
Shaman.
shaman.
I
Yeah,
don't know what the hell.
yeah. The guy who was wearing the horns and the face
Yeah,
paint
he's
and all that
running
stuff
for
that was attacking the
Congress.
yeah.
Like, stop playing. Like,
And we
why
have
do
these
you
people going around saying these people were patriots and they're political prisoners. And, stuff like that just makes me sick, man. It just makes me sick to my stomach to think that we are now not just turning into a country of cuckoo clocks, but we're turning into a country of people who want an authoritarian government. Or I'm not even sure they know that's what's coming,
right, right.
but either they're fine with it or or they just don't really understand what's going to happen if Donald Trump and his flunkies take over again.
Uh, I don't think they want democracy because
They
Trump is
don't.
telling them what he's going to do, and none of that is about politics. Like, why, if you win, why are you rounding up the left? Like, for what reason?
Yeah.
They don't need to exist anymore because they ran against you? Like, that's stupid. So what do we you're saying Democrats are all bad that just want a country of Republicans? I'm gonna fire all the like this, that it's so stupid. Like, that has nothing to do. That's not politics. It's not how they don't care about politics. They want America great again. Like, so
Mhm.
that means they don't care if they're poor, as long as women don't have a say, as long as the blacks stay in their place,
Yep.
as long as the immigrants don't come, or we'll put you in some camps or whatever Trump wants to do with them. Like,
Mhm.
that's how they see it, and white men continue to be in power.
Yep.
If they're okay with poverty, if that happens.
That's exactly right. Again, we've talked about this before. They vote against their own interest
Yeah.
only, and maybe not in a way. Their interest seems to supersede the real interest that would help them or change their lives. But
Yeah.
the interest of being angry and being racist and being homophobic and xenophobic, when really at the end of the day, I just, and I've had these conversations every once in a while with people, and I just ask them as calmly as I can. I said, I mean, you're angry about what the country is turning into. You're angry about wokeism. You're angry about this. Can you give me any specific instances in where any of what you're talking about has affected your life? And then they'll ramble on about something. I said, well, okay, I understand that you're upset about that, but what I'm asking is a specific instance or incident that has happened based on what you're saying. And I'll even open it up to anybody that you know. You
Mhm.
or anybody that you know, tell me exactly what happened that is making you so angry about this, because maybe you'll make me angry. Maybe I'll get on your side. Let's figure it out together. And
Right.
nobody can come up with anything,
Right,
anything.
right. Why don't you like woke? Because it makes white people uncomfortable. Like,
Yeah. No, because,
it's nothing.
I'm not allowed to be proud of my whiteness. Okay, well,
Yeah,
really what you're supposed to be proud. I'm a white guy. I'm about as white as you get. I mean, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be. What am I supposed to be proud of? I've always said, being proud of something, you're proud of your kids. You're proud of getting a promotion at work. I'm proud of hitting a 5-team parlay when I bet on my sports teams. That's what I'm proud of. But being proud of being white, I don't
it's like
understand.
you're already the status quo. You don't have to be proud because everybody's already proud of you. Like, you're it. You are the it,
Yeah,
right? Like, nobody else was the it. That's why there is gay pride,
yeah.
or I don't know,
Black pride, and
black
I think that's
black
where they get it
excellence.
conflated because
Yeah,
they hear that
right.
and they're like, "Well, why are they allowed to have it and we're not allowed
Yeah.
to have it?" But you said, if you just took a step back, I know you didn't really live back in those times. If there was a time they didn't have any pride whatsoever because they weren't allowed to.
Right, right. We weren't recognized on TV. We didn't get Oscars or Emmys. I mean, and we're still, yeah, there's more, but it's not. This is not equal still. Still
Yeah.
not equal, right?
Yeah.
We go to movie theaters, it's not equal.
Yeah.
It's just not.
You're exactly right. And again, you and I know. But it's just I'm not really sure what they're angry about. I'm not really sure, but
Angry, angry.
that actually we'll go back to one subject since we're talking about this. Donald Trump just recently had a rally, and you were asking earlier about, does he basically want to get rid of Democrats? Does he just want Republicans? Is that what he wants? He wants a Republican. What he wants is he wants just a Republican rule. He wants Donald Trump to rule everything. Democrats can stay in his country, but they're going to abide by every one of his rules. Don't even think about stepping out of line under my presidency, because I will, take care of that, not only through laws, but through the military. I truly believe he will get the military involved when there's a protest. He kind of did it last time.
Yeah, he tried to. The George Floyd protest in front of the White House when they had the military fire the rubber bullets.
Run people
Isn't that
over.
when one of his generals got upset with him because he didn't know what was going on?
Yeah.
Was that the same?
Yeah.
Or something?
Yeah.
And then he walked across the street and held the Bible upside down.
Oh my God, what a clown.
So much. I saw a neighbor with a Trump sign. I was just like,
wait, what?
Thank you for letting us all know. I'm glad
I got one right next door that's got one. So
I'm very surprised. It's just like, do you know who your neighbors are?
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
Ew. How are you supporting him right now? He's got 91 indictments. Be embarrassed.
Oh, they're not embarrassed. They're proud because Donald Trump tells them to be proud. He says, every time I get indicted, it's a good mark for me. And guess what? I'm doing this for you. And these people clap and cheer like morons. Oh my God. Meanwhile, the ones that stormed the Capitol are sitting and rotting in jail right now, and he's not doing shit. He didn't pardon them when he had a chance.
No. You really do want to pull your hair out. I
can't.
Trump people who are watching, but we don't get it.
Yeah.
It's very disturbing.
I think, like I said, I'm always open to somebody giving me a cogent and logistical argument as to why I should maybe start looking the other way. And, I know some people, they try really hard and they put down all their little bullet points that they hear on Sean Hannity or Ben Shapiro or Dan Bongino or any of them fucking idiots. And that's how they lay it out for me. And
talk about, again, we always talk about this. I've never heard Trump say how he's going to make college affordable.
Never.
I've never heard Trump say how he's healthcare or raising wages.
Yep.
I've never heard him say that. I've never heard him say that women should get equal pay for the same work. Never heard him say that. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? He's not saying all those things that when you interview them before elections and you're like, hey, why are you voting Republican or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because of my pocketbook issues. Things are so expensive. He doesn't even talk about it. He never talks about it. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say what he'll do is it's like a preview to a movie. You could see the preview to it, but he'll never release the fucking movie. You'll just see the preview and he'll be like, oh, the greatest healthcare plan you'll ever see is coming out.
Right.
It's coming out. It's going to blow. It's going to be the best thing you've ever seen. They ask him, when's it going to be? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We're going to see it in 2 weeks. And of course, months go by. Nobody even asks them about it anymore. Nobody even fucking cares. And it's just like,
even know who he's running against. He keeps saying Obama. What is wrong with you people? It's just so bizarre.
Well, I do have a clip of Donald Trump who just recently spoke about his Democratic rivals and exactly how he's going to handle it. This is at one of his rallies, I believe, in New Hampshire that just took place.
Try not to vomit.
Let's listen to what he has to say. I'm hoping that within the next 12 months, we're going to be done listening to what this guy has to say. But let's take a listen.
Our great veterans on Veterans Day, we pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country, that lie and steal and cheat on elections and will do anything possible. They'll do anything, whether legally or illegally, to destroy America and to destroy the American dream.
We are the vermin that he speaks of. And of course, you know, I'm sure you and I directly aren't the ones that he's going after, but anybody in any sort of power that challenges him will go down under his presidency. There's no question.
That makes me sick to my stomach. It's
Yeah.
just like, if you're cheering for that, something's wrong with your soul, because it
Soul-
doesn't like
Yep.
it doesn't even sit right in a spirit, like
No.
just spiritual sense, not even religious, but just like your spirit should feel like a big sink, like, whoa, you going too far. Like, what the
No question.
fuck are you
Humanity, just your sense of humanity.
Yeah,
There
like,
were some Republicans who said they weren't a big fan of what he said, but of course, you know, it's just sort of like in one ear out the other. We'll say that it wasn't a good thing, but what difference does it make? They could come out and protest in front of him every day, but what happens? Nothing.
no.
Nothing will happen.
Yeah,
Nothing will
right.
happen.
Right. I tweeted about it. I'm like, he's fucking like racism and bigotry on loop. Like
Mhm.
it just continues. It doesn't stop. It's like the next day, how can I be more vile than I was yesterday? Like, he doesn't care. Like, he really is. It's almost like he goes back and he's like, what can I say? Like, can someone find me that book on Hitler? Like, what did he say? Like,
And
it's
that's what it is. He's reading from the book of Hitler, basically. It's an authoritarian sort of speech. And this is, again, why I get really pissed off at the American media, is that we're still trying to treat like Biden and well, let's talk about Trump. Okay, now let's talk about Biden. And it's like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
This is I'm not having that, and I'm not having a discussion with anybody that's going to try to equal it out for me. I feel like I am stubborn on this, and I feel like I could say this because I've done the research. I've been seeing this and doing this for a long time. I understand what Donald Trump and all that side is all about. And all of it is garbage. All of it. Every single bit of it.
Yeah.
And even if there was any part of Joe Biden that was garbage, it's not. You're talking about.
It's not criminally a racist bigot out here saying, I'm going to pick off all the Republicans and throw them under the jail or put them in a camp and calling them subhuman so that they can be attacked. Because come on, let's be real, we know what he's doing. He's not just doing it, it's another call. He just wants more violence. Like, he's doing a setup of what's to come. Like, stop playing right now. It's ridiculous at this point. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it really is. And you know, like I said, you talk about the difference of garbage. Donald Trump is a gigantic dumpster that's on fire. Joe Biden might be that little bag you have in your car that you throw little pieces of paper away if you're comparing garbage. But, you know, again.
And the other thing wrong with Biden is what? His age? Like, literally nothing.
I was just about to say that.
There's nothing wrong with Joseph Biden.
Nothing.
There's nothing. Economy
Absolutely
is doing
nothing.
well. Jobs are growing. He has passed a ridiculous amount of legislation
that helps.
That is helping people right fucking now, because I see bridges being worked on, streets being worked on. That is all a part of it. Chips manufacturing, like, stop, y'all, come on.
Even the Inflation Reduction Act was given high praise from a major investment firm. So, and I want to say it was Charles Schwab. We read it on this show before. I got to go back and remember, but I remember them specifically saying that the Inflation Reduction Act has been a huge help, you know, in how everything is going on in this country. And, you know, the fact that we're still talking about replacing Joe Biden and finding a different candidate and doing all this. You saw the poll, I'm sure, a few weeks ago. or about a week ago. And again, these polls are garbage. And one reason why I believe that is because, well, there's many reasons, but the poll basically said that in 6 swing states that Joe Biden was losing 5 of them. And that we're basically in a dead heat and a tie for the presidency, which we'll probably see again for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 months, whatever it is. But what we're paying attention to the poll, but one thing we are ignoring is every single actual election where people voted since 2016. And every single one of them favored Democrats in overwhelming fashion.
Right.
Why is this time different?
Right. And then was it this poll or the last poll that said something? Because they started talking about like young people weren't voting for Biden or weren't on board with Biden. I'm thinking like, that's a lie, right? Like, because they're not excited. Like, okay.
Well, no, the reason why they said, and this can lead us into a little bit of another discussion, is that they don't like the way that Joe Biden is handling the Israel-Palestine issue. And, that's one thing we're going to talk about is, and again, I'm going to preface this every time I talk about this. I'm not an expert on this at all. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I get the basics of it, but apparently there's a lot of liberals, college students that do not like the way that Joe Biden is handling this. They think he should call for an absolute 100% ceasefire. I don't know that is exactly the answer. I will tell you one woman I did listen to, she was on The View, and Hillary Clinton gave her opinion on it, and she basically said a ceasefire is just not possible. You can't just say, because Hamas is not somebody that will go, oh, they stopped. Okay, they started it.
Even if we called for it, it's not us. Like,
correct. We have a lot of influence.
We do, but what Netanyahu or whatever his name is he gonna do that? Even if Biden said it, because are they gonna do it? They're gonna be like, you know what, you're right, done.
Yeah. Well, I think the only thing is that, and a lot of, this is something I just found out, and I didn't know this, but the United States gives Israel $3.8 billion a year for their military. So we are, obviously very close allies with them. And there's I don't know if that's a negotiation tool to say, hey, if you don't call for a ceasefire, guess what? This money's not coming to you anymore. I don't know if that's exactly what the thought process is, but.
Well, dear young people, if you are going to withhold your vote for Joseph Biden because of a war that he did not start, a war that he cannot end.
Correct.
You're fucking fools because
you're as foolish as the ones that you are calling fools on the other side.
Exactly. Because you will end up with Donald Trump, who calls people vermin, who idolizes Hitler.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know. That's a stupid reason. Those are the fucking people who drive me crazy, because those are the people that are like, they just come out and they have to be overzealous about an issue. It's just over. Oh my, even like some of our lawmakers, Biden, you have to figure out about it. Like, this is not an easy topic. We're acting like Biden is in the White House like, I don't give a fuck if the Palestinians die.
Correct.
Israelis do whatever the fuck they want because look what happened. That's not what he's saying. Like, we don't know what's literally happening in the background, right? Biden can be saying that. He may be saying, hey, Benny, what do you think? Do you think that you could do it? Like, they may be doing that in the background. Shut the fuck up and let grown-ups work. Like,
what they're doing, they're the same people who are yelling at the TV, telling the quarterback they should be doing something, when the quarterback's saying, hey, motherfucker, you don't have 300-pound dudes running at 40 miles an hour at you. You don't know what the fuck I go through.
You're right. You're right. And I always have to tell myself that too. Like, fall back because we don't know what happens in the backgrounds with any of these fucking lawmakers. We know that. We know that, like, a lot of these Democrats and Republicans, they meet together when they act like they're like this. I mean, we know, like, the Marjorie Taylor Greens. I'm talking about the old school
Yeah, the
Republicans.
normal ones.
Right,
Somewhat,
that
yeah.
they would go in the back and be like, "What can you do for me?" Like, we know that. We know that Biden and Manchin would be in the back trying
No
to
doubt.
work some shit out so Manchin can vote for something. Like, we know that happens. So we just have to, like, the hell? That's a stupid thing. I'm not voting for you.
Well, you're
Okay,
you're
then what does
exactly
that
right.
do? Does that help the cause? Does that help the cause?
Well, also too, you know what else they're going to do? What they're going to do is they're going to fuck around and find out that when you have a couple of these older Republicans on the Supreme Court that could be retiring or maybe passing at any time,
Yeah,
and
stop
I don't
playing.
mean to say that in a
It's true.
mean way, but you're going to allow
Yeah.
younger Republican people on the Supreme Court that may be there for close to the
We're
rest
gonna
of
be
your life.
done. We're fucking gonna be done.
Yeah.
Roe will never be like, it will just be, it's gonna be a fucking mess. Like,
Yep.
it's not gonna stop.
Now, I will say, I think once it comes down to it, we are a year out, and a year out can freak people the fuck out, even if you hear the slightest idea that Donald Trump could win. And there's good reason for that. There's good reason to be, have anxiety about that. But going back to the students and all that in the Palestinian protest, another thing that does drive me crazy though is the conflation of that the protesters are pro-Hamas and not what they're really protesting. What they're protesting is peace, and they're protesting do not kill innocent Palestinians that have nothing to do with this. Now, of course, you'll hear some of the right-wing Republicans saying, it doesn't, fuck all the Palestinians because they are pro-Hamas. They
But they're not.
they vote well. The line is they voted Hamas in their election,
Right.
and but there's some stipulations there that they're not really saying. They haven't had another election I think it's 15 years ago is when they did that.
Right.
So they haven't had another election since
So
to
they
say,
didn't
hey,
know.
we're
Right.
done with this regime. And it's my understanding there's a large amount of Palestinians that no longer want that regime. And it's also my understanding there's a significant amount of Israelis that are not very thrilled about how Netanyahu handled things and how Israel has handled Palestine and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So again, don't come to me, on this subject, because I don't know a bunch about it. I can tell you the only things that I do know. If I have anything completely wrong, I don't mind comments, whatever, just let us know. But I can tell you, I'm not going to sit there also too and just do this thing where the left loves Hamas and they hate Israel and the Jews because they are protesting for peace for everybody. Right?
And the Republicans need to just shut the heck up.
I
Because
agree.
they're out here hanging with Sebastian Gorka, Fuentes,
Yeah.
like since when did they care about Jewish people? Because they hang with Nazis and call them fine people. Like, stop.
See, that's
What is this?
you and I talked about this before. That's why I am so confused. The party who embraces
Yep.
the groups that hate Jewish people
Yep.
are the ones who saying you need to defend Israel, and if you do anything other than defend Israel, you are you're the enemy. Now, it's my understanding too, I don't know a whole bunch about what happens in Israel, but Netanyahu and his administration is very close to the administration that Donald Trump wants to implement. They're very far right wing, very far right wing.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of people in Israel who are not down with that. But anyway, I think that's the only reason why I wanted to bring it up for the most part is just, I don't want to hear this idea that the far left is defending the murdering of people in Israel. And if they are, show me exactly where that's happening.
Right. And they can. They never will. It's ridiculous.
Anyway, you saw Jenna Ellis had she testified. It was called what's called a proffer. So a proffer is something where attorneys get together with you and say, hey, you're not in trouble. You're not, we're not convicting you of anything. We're not necessarily subpoenaing you or whatever the case is, but we're just going to ask you some questions. We want to see what your answers are, and then we'll determine what's going to happen from there. And she sat down with some people, and she explained what she knew about what took place on January 6th and Donald Trump's mindset. So we're going to play that first, and then you and I can discuss.
At the time period where they were going to start to discuss, what was Dan Scavino's role?
At the time, I believe his title was social media director for the White House. It became deputy chief of staff at the time that the conversation in question took place.
Okay, and when was that?
The conversation was around December 19th of 2020 at the White House Christmas party. And I emphasized him. I thought that the claims and the ability to challenge the election results was essentially over, because he said to me in a kind of excited tone, well, we don't care and we're not going to leave. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, the boss, meaning President Trump, and everyone understood the boss, that's what we all called him. He said the boss is not going to leave under any circumstances. We are just going to stay in power. And I said to him, well, it doesn't quite work that way, you realize. And he said, we don't care.
I do have a hard time believing Jenna Ellis pushed back, but just only based on what I saw from her prior to all this. She was, the soldier in line, and everything, they were being cheated, and everything that was happening to Donald Trump was a joke and all this stuff. But she basically just said that that a close associate with Donald Trump told her that he said, I don't care what happens, I am not leaving this White House. Not happening.
This is the leaked footage, isn't it?
This is leaked footage. That is correct. And I think on a Sidney Powell as well, that I have not seen.
And Fonnie is not happy about this at all.
Yeah, but I really still don't think it's going to hurt her case. In fact,
no, it doesn't. But you don't want your stuff to start being leaked, because that means that Trump's team is just willy-nilly going to be leaking whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Promotions tonight, I think. And again, you're right. We don't want to leak anything, but it's my opinion that this is just so clear cut. I don't care what the fuck they release. There's what is Donald Trump's defense going to be? I mean, what can it possibly be? Because when you defend yourself, it's not just through words. You have to defend yourself with fucking proof. Right.
And I don't know what but you're right. I mean, you don't want anything like that leaked ahead of time, but since it is, we have her basically saying that Donald Trump said, I was never going to leave. Doesn't matter. So what are you going to do about it?
And that is what she's going to testify.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Just again, another authoritarian. Now, I was reading, do you ever see this guy, the Palmer Report on Twitter?
Yeah.
I like him because
I follow them. They follow me. Yeah.
Oh, they do? Yeah. I think he follows me too.
They're pretty good at that.
They are good with that, but they're also really good with their articles. And the reason why I like it a lot is because he's no nonsense, and he's like, shut up, quit the fucking bitching, whining, being scared, kind of attitude.
Right.
And he kind of lays it out. And he was saying, with this thing that people are like, oh, he said he wasn't going to leave, and he's this strong man. And he's like, at the end of the day, he's not a strong man. He packed up and fucking left just the way he was supposed to.
Right. He talked that shit, but he couldn't stay. Like, what were they going to do? Be like a, friggin', what is that? Waco? Like,
yeah, correct.
Now they got to burn this White House down to the ground.
David Koresh was insane enough to die for that cause. Donald Trump, as fucking nutty and stupid as he is, he ain't willing to die for this shit.
Hell no.
No. So, but speaking of fake phony men, the United States Congress now is it's so embarrassing. I'm talking about beyond embarrassing.
It
And
is.
when I say embarrassing, this will shock you to know that I'm not even going to be talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene this time. I'm not going to be talking about Lauren Boebert or Matt
Nope.
Gaetz.
Nope.
You see this guy, what's his name? Mark Wayne Mullen.
Yep.
Did you see this guy?
Yeah.
Mark Wayne, by the way, is one word, not two, which is,
Your butt down.
I'm not going to make fun of the guy's name. Mark Wayne.
Yeah, get your butt up. You get your butt up.
Mark Wayne Mullen was in a hearing today.
I challenge you.
With the leader of the Teamsters Union.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
This gentleman's name is Sean O'Brien.
Oh my God.
Now, before I play this clip, so I had to figure out there's some background on these two. There was a hearing before, and they kind of got into it a little bit. And then after the hearing, Sean O'Brien, the Teamsters Union president, went on Twitter and called this guy out, said, a lot of stuff about him, and you'll hear that in this clip. And Mark Wayne wants to bring this up again in this one in what might be considered the most immature and ridiculously cornyish way. Let's watch this.
Like he's self-made. Sir, I wish he was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office.
I'm sorry, real quick. Before that, the tweets he was reading was the guy basically is calling him out, saying that you're saying that your business was self-made and that you're this big, bad, tough guy. Now, it turns out that he inherited his business from his father.
Yeah.
Much like probably the guy that he worships.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying it appears as if this guy took the business and made it thrive and did well with it, but that's what he's talking about here. He's reading his
greedy CEO, and he is a greedy CEO.
Yes, yeah. But those are the tweets he's reading, and now he's going to address Mr. O'Brien.
Because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Is that your solution,
Hold it. No, sit down. Sit down. Okay. You're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Actively.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond, Mr. Chairman?
Hold it.
What is wrong with you?
If we can, no,
This is
I have
what
the
he
mic.
said.
I'm sorry.
This is
Hold
what
it.
he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't. This is a hearing.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all?
There was more to it, but first of all,
wedding ring off.
I
What was that? Like the equivalent of like taking your earrings out to go fight? He's like taking this ring off. Like,
can first of all, that guy have absolutely zero intentions in fighting that guy. And he looked like a pretty big guy. Looks like he can handle himself.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
he's the
he might
worst.
even win the fight, but it's so fake and so phony. The try that in a small town guy is going to go after the leader of the fucking Teamsters Union. I promise you, small town guy, that's not going to work out very
that
well.
union
For
guy's
you.
gonna, he's used to hard labor.
Yeah. I promise you that would be probably one of your worst mistakes. But
that's why he just stood there. He's like, "You get your butt up."
yeah, but
Okay.
this is exactly why we have wars, because of dudes like this who are so just fucking, they think everything is bravado and anger and badassery, and there's a time for it, no question. There's times and places for when it really needs to, but that's just so corny. And we're not watching Jerry Springer here. We're watching a hearing in the United States Senate.
And Bernie Sanders had to go, "You are a United States senator. Like, act like it. You're a fucking senator. Like, this isn't a regular smuggler job.
Right.
This is what you're doing with our tax dollars. You're at a committee hearing trying to fight. Like, it's just, but like you said, yeah, a lot of these people they're not qualified.
No.
Voters, it's your fault.
Yeah.
You keep voting these fuckers in. They're not qualified to lead. But you know what? The people who are voting for these people are the very people who don't care about whatever they were talking about. They don't care. Mueller was about to fight. We voting for him again because he's tough.
No, his voters loved that. And you know who else did? Now this idiot is going to get the greatest thing bestowed upon him that he has ever had, and that is 19 different interviews on Newsmax, Fox News. He's getting exactly what he wanted out of that. But quite frankly, he looks like a fucking puss. He just gets up and he's acting like he's gonna fight. That's the guy who's like the hold me back guy. When you know you're not going to swing, you're not gonna fight anybody. You're just doing this for your corny show. And actually, to me, that made him even look worse.
And that's exactly right, because the guy who didn't blink and just didn't move, didn't get up, that's the guy that's gonna fuck him up.
No question.
He wasn't afraid. He was
that guy will sit in his seat until he gets to you. He will not even stand up until
and then he's gonna put him on the floor.
Yep, no question.
Like that's just it's just really, really, we're just in a bad state. This is all really bad. Like, we laugh about it, but what the fuck is this?
Well, unfortunately, Lana, that wasn't the only clown show that happened. This time it was in the House.
Yeah.
And there's a gentleman named Tim Burkett. And can you hold on just 1 second, Lana? My cat is obsessed with licking this bowl with nothing in it. It is making a terrible noise. That is, hold on. All right, I'm back.
Your cat is like, I have not eaten in 3 weeks. Let me live.
Let me tell you something. This cat is a food savage. And before he was lost, you could not have food around him. Now, when he hasn't eaten for 3 weeks, forget it. This cat will eat anything. But anyway,
the dog's food.
Right. We have another. This guy, Tim Burkett. He's a representative in the House. And long story short, when they did the vote to keep Kevin McCarthy as the speaker, he did not vote for him. So apparently, as he's standing in the hallway today being interviewed, Kevin McCarthy comes behind him and throws an elbow in his back. And one of the reporters you'll recognize him when you see him, I can't remember his name, but he interviewed him about this. And let's hear what he had to say about this fucking clown show.
What happened with you and Kevin McCarthy?
Well, I was doing an interview with Claudia from NPR, a lovely lady, and when she was asking me a question, and at the time I got elbowed in the back, and it kind of caught me off guard because it was a clean shot to the kidneys, and I turned back, and there was Kevin, and I for a minute I was kind of, what the heck just happened? And then I chased after him. Of course, he's as I've stated many times, he's a bully with $17 million in a security detail. He's the type of guy that when you're a kid would throw a rock over the fence and run home and hide behind his mama's skirt. And he just, he from behind, that kind of stuff. That's not the way we handle things in East Tennessee. If we have a problem with somebody, I'm going to look them in the eye and talk to them.
Okay, so he walked down the hallway, hit you with his elbow.
Yeah, you can go on Claudia's Twitter account. It pretty much, or X account.
That first guy looked pretty tough, I'll admit. These two were not tough guys, but anyway.
It's very accurate.
Okay, so then just explain. So you chased him? What do you mean you chased him?
I just ran after him. I was like, what the heck? Why'd you do that? Because it was, like I said, if you've ever been hit in the kidneys, it's a little different. You don't have to hit very hard to cause a little bit of pain, a lot of pain. And so he just, of course,
as he always does. He just denies it or blames somebody else or something, you know. And it was just a little heated, but I just backed off because I saw no reason. I wasn't gaining anything from it. And then everybody saw it, so it didn't really matter.
Like he responded to you?
Yeah, he just acted like, you know, what are you talking about? You know, who are you to, you know, that kind of thing. And it's just, you know, I think that's symptomatic of the problems that he's had in his short tenure as speaker.
And were you face to face when you had this interaction?
Yeah, but there's security detail, and I get it. They were doing their job, so it wasn't exactly like he wouldn't turn around and face me.
All right, we get the point.
That's hilarious.
I mean, this is the United States Congress that we're talking about here, and this is just getting beyond embarrassing. These are the people that, you know, we elect, and it's the sort of behavior now that we are allowing because it is just not being taken seriously anymore. These are not serious people. I don't know if you watch. I didn't watch it. I won't watch any of these debates. There's no reason for me to watch them. But I did see the clip last week of Vivek Ramaswamy bringing up Nikki Haley's daughter, and she didn't like that very much, and she got all pissed. But you know what? And I agree with her, but the only thing that I would say is that Nikki Haley allowed this to happen. She is part of the problem. All of these people allowed this sort of bullshit to happen. We now turn, you know, congressional hearings into fistfights. We're turning debates into what nickname you can call somebody, and you know how you could call somebody out, and they've turned this country into a joke. And the sad part is they're looking at us like we're turning it into a joke. And what do you do?
You know what's churning it? It's interesting. I was just thinking, like, you know, we talk about a lot what social media is doing to our children.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the same thing to adults.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
This wouldn't be happening if everything wasn't publicized and posted and reposted. That's the only reason this is happening. Like you just said, Mullen, yeah, he's gonna get some donations. This is big for him.
Yep.
They love this. And I thought the other day when I heard that Marjorie Taylor Greene got a death threat, and I'm like, that crazy lady's probably happy as hell because she can raise money from the death threat.
Yeah.
Like, that's how.
By the way, did she really get a death threat, or is it?
Right. Who knows?
I don't put it past her to make it up.
To raise money, right?
Yeah.
Because who in her district, like, I'm like, Georgia, her district? Like, who did this? Is it from somewhere else? Because it's definitely not her district loves her. They're not going to do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It just, I don't know what to do, how we do, but the only thing that we can do, and we say it a million times, is we got to vote. We got to vote, not because we're not going to vote all these people out. It's just not going to happen. Marjorie Taylor Greene's district isn't all of a sudden going to go, gosh, we don't really like her. You know, she's in. She's not going anywhere. Lauren Boebert might be in trouble. But you know, you have people, the nutballs, that are going to stay in there. But what we need to do is we just need to vote in enough Democrats where they do take over the House, they do take over the Senate. And I'm not saying it's got to be like that for the rest of our lives, but we got to get it to where we can get some laws changed to put some things and some normality back into, you know, this country, to where, you know, we can't just have a president standing out front saying they stole the election from us and get people riled up and send them into the Capitol and start destroying it, and then later calling them patriots and political prisoners, and it's just beyond fucking crazy.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say anymore.
Well, I know what to say.
Oh.
Guess what time it is?
Game time?
That's right. So we're going to play another game, Lana. There's good news and bad news in this game. The bad news, I'm going to give you the bad news first.
Sure.
The bad news is this time there's no prize.
Oh.
Okay. But the reason why the good news is
prizes when I can't win.
Right. The good news is you can't get any of these wrong. It's
See?
impossible
That's why
to
there's
get
no
wrong.
practice.
In fact, if you do get any of them wrong, you owe me $100 billion.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, but you don't have to worry about it because it's near impossible. So this game, we're going to play some clips from your favorite dipshit president, Donald Trump.
Ugh.
And you have to tell me if in this clip it does this clip pertain more to A, his mental decline, B, his craziness, C, his stupidity, or D, all the above?
Oh gosh, yeah. This
Okay.
is gonna be all of them all the time.
Yep.
They're
So
gonna-
let's listen to the
Yeah.
first clip. In the first clip, Donald Trump explains to us how he knocked out ISIS.
How long will it take you to knock out ISIS? I went there. I actually flew there. Extreme bravery when I did that because I had to fly in Air Force One. We had to darken our windows. They said, sir, we're going to have to. We're flying over enemy territory. Think of it. We're there for 21 years with the best equipment in the world, that we still have to darken our windows to fly in.
Think of it.
But I figured, let's do it. And they turned off all the lights inside and outside of the plane. I went up to the captain.
Oh, sorry.
How long will it take you to knock out?
Damn it.
Sir, we're going to have to. We're flying over enemy territory. Think of it. We're there for 21 years with the best equipment in the world, that we still have to darken our windows to fly in. But I figured, let's do it. And they turned
screwed
off
up the
all
game.
the
We already
lights
heard this.
inside and outside of the plane. I went up to the
Screw
captain.
it up.
Okay, maybe that was it. All right. At least for now, it's going to be it, because it doesn't really matter what your answer is, but we're doing this because it's fun. Is because he's crazy, stupid, mental decline, or all the above?
So that wasn't mental decline. That was just stupidity.
So
Right?
you have two out of the three there. Is it stupidity or mental decline?
I didn't even see mental decline. You just sound like a fucking idiot. Like,
So we'll go with stupidity on that one. That was just plain
Yeah.
stupidity.
yeah, that was just stupid. I didn't even hear.
Okay.
It wasn't like a mental decline. Like, he wasn't saying he was running against Obama. He was just. I mean, I'm sorry. I know we got to move on, but I'm just focused on the audience when he talks.
I
I'm just looking
know.
at them like,
Sad.
I did the bravest thing ever. Bravest
Did-
thing.
I mean, and what is he talking
the
about? We had to darken the windows. Think of it. We had to darken the windows. Like,
I went in to talk to ISIS. It's the most dangerous ever. Took extreme bravery. Just watch it. It's just
every one of his stories is so, like, just incredible. Like, it's never happened before. And you guys wouldn't believe what just happened to me. And most people, if they were being honest, they'd be like, actually, that just happened to me last Tuesday. I don't what
no,
the fuck
for
are you
real.
talking about?
And then when he thinks he's a good storyteller,
Yeah.
so that's him as a B actor acting, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's a storyteller, so he gets his voice goes deep,
Yeah.
like, and he wants all the attention, and he sounds like a fool.
That's why he's the greatest con man in the history, maybe of the world.
And they're just
We might even be able to throw another choice in there, and that that would be: is he telling the story because he knows they're stupid? That's part of it too. Okay, let's listen to clip number 2. This is where he praises Viktor Orban.
But the head of Hungary, a very tough, strong guy, Viktor Orban. Did anybody ever hear of him? Probably, considered.
Now, this is another thing too, that this is very upsetting. You have people in this audience applauding Viktor Orban
because they don't know. They
don't know who he is. You're right.
He said, "Does anyone know who he is?" I was
Yep.
like, "Yeah."
Yep.
If
They're
Trump
like,
said it,
oh,
he
but
must
I've
be
heard that
good.
name on Tucker Carlson before, so yeah, I kind of know who he is.
Yeah. Anybody ever hear of Hitler? Great guy.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
That's how stupid they are.
They're so upset. Who are these people? Anyway, they're my neighbor and your neighbor. Hold on.
Very powerful within his country and outside of his country. Not exactly loved by some of the European nations because he does his thing. He didn't allow millions of people to invade his country.
That's the other thing too, by the way, is that I hear a lot of the Trumpers that I've had interaction with. There's this anti-European thing amongst the Trumpville. So you bring that up, and now he's connecting the dots for them. He's saying Viktor Orban. So maybe you don't know who he is, but I'm going to tell you, Europeans don't like him. Now they're starting to buy it into him more. Oh, yeah, I heard that we hate
They're
Europe.
all fucking Europeans. Motherfuckers, y'all are European. What the fuck? Where are they from? Where are these people?
This is in Claremont, New Hampshire, which is not too far from you, right?
Well, where are white people from? Aren't y'all European?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to.
How do you not like Europeans if like your fucking ancestors are European?
This is exactly why I question you can't. There's no such thing as white pride. You can't have white pride because it's so fucking stupid.
It is so stupid.
All right.
Where's Germany? Is Germany in Europe?
Yeah. Yep.
Is it Trump and family from Germany?
Yep. But there's an anti-Europe sort of sentiment amongst the crowd and amongst the Trumpville that I think that he's using that to sort of draw them in. But let's finish what he has to say about this idiot.
He allowed nobody to invade. Zero. He had nobody. So he doesn't have crime, and he doesn't have the problems that they're having in other countries where millions of people are allowed to go in. But
that's his other thing too. He allowed nobody to go to his country and attack it. I hear people talking about people attacking our country. There's really only 2 times that I can think of that there were major attacks on this country from foreign entities. And that was on Pearl Harbor Day and, of course, on September 11th. Outside of that, this country has a pretty good record of not being attacked. In fact, we've been attacked by ourselves more than we've been attacked by foreign entities.
Say that part again.
Yeah.
Because that's just about every week.
Yeah, it really is. It's scary. And the fact that we are, we want to cozy up to people like this, but we don't want to do anything. I hear people all the time why are we sending this money to Ukraine? Why are we sending this money to Ukraine? Why aren't we doing it? We don't want to do anything. Then you use the money to do what? I mean, and then they don't want to do anything to help this country, but especially when it comes to the attacks on our country from the people within. They don't want to do anything about it.
They don't want to do. They say, I don't care. Give my money to the rich so the rich people could have tax cuts. That's what we want to do.
It just makes no fucking sense. Now, all right, that's part 1 of that clip. So is that just stupid, crazy, senile, or all the above?
Jesus, what the fuck was he just talking about?
He was talking about Viktor Orban. I'm going to go with, well, this is your game.
Oh, no, we can both play.
I like crazy on this one. I mean,
I like crazy too. It's not meant to decline.
When you're praising, authoritarian leaders, that's just, I mean, I don't understand how it can be in any other category than crazy.
Fascist.
Now, this next clip's going to be pretty damn easy. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. It's in the same clip and he's about to say it, but this one, the answer will be clear.
They were interviewing him 2 weeks ago, and they said, what would you advise President Obama? The whole world seems to be exploding and imploding. And he said, it's very simple. He should immediately resign, and they should replace him with President Trump, who kept the world safe. And I'm not just talking the United States. China respected him. Russia respected him. North Korea respected him, and he used another word other than respect, he said fear, but I don't want to use that word. Of course.
What the fuck are you talking about? Mental decline? Like, what the hell?
That one was easy, and that is not the only. He has cited President Obama instead of Biden on numerous occasions within the last couple of months. He's called President Biden Barack Obama on numerous occasions.
His
And that's
audience is
part
not listening.
it's part mental decline, and it's part obsession, I
Yeah.
think, too,
Mhm.
with Barack
Yeah.
Obama. He is
Yeah.
obsessed with
Yeah.
Barack Obama. He's obsessed and hates the fact that he
Yeah.
is respected and loved. He
Yeah.
cannot stand that.
Yeah.
He's more respected, he's more loved than Trump ever will be.
Yeah.
And he seems to be obsessed with this
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Obsessed.
He
So,
he
all
absolutely
right,
does.
you want to do one more?
Yeah.
Okay. Here is a clip where Donald Trump saved veterans from being murdered.
They would treat them terribly, and you couldn't do a damn thing about it. They'd be in there, and they were sadists. They had people, this wasn't prime time for our people, and they weren't able to defend themselves. They had people that would really mistreat our veterans, and we couldn't do a thing about it because of the laws, civil service and otherwise. You couldn't do a thing. They could be as bad as they wanted. They could do everything up to murder. And the way they treated some of these people were just horrible people. You couldn't fire them. And now we looked at them, and we took about 7,000 of them, and we said, "You're fired. Get out. Get out."
There's the obligatory applause.
Yeah, they're not listening. They just applaud when they're supposed to, like, to his voice, the crescendo or something. Like, I don't think they're even listening. They look like they're fucking dead out there. And then all of a sudden he says, Obama, we got him out, 7,000. They're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't know what he's saying.
You know what's even crazier too? You know, if you do something like this or playing the game, whatever it is, you have to go through and look at a lot of clips. These are all from the same rally. It's you could just pull all these from one fucking rally.
And at what point did he talk about what benefits
Never
for regular people?
Not once. Not once. Oh, you know what? And somebody would say, "How do you know? Did you watch it?" And the answer is no. I guarantee you, he did not fucking say anything about
They would play it. The media would be shocked.
Yep.
If he made some type of policy announcement, but he does not.
Yep. Okay, so I got a couple more clips. These are kind of just things that happened over the last couple of weeks. Actually, one is, and it's a clip that surfaced of our new House leader, Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson's an extremely religious fella, which is fine. You know, I don't admonish anybody having their religion and having a part of your life and your family and using that to say, hey, this is the guide I'm going to use to go through life and be a good person and bring joy and happiness amongst everybody. And there are a few religious people I know that use it in that way. But Mike Johnson had a clip of one of the creepiest things that I think I've heard. Do you, as a mother, do you monitor your children's, well, let's first start with internet use. No.
No, I mean, I should my 15-year-old, but
yeah. One step further, do you monitor his porn intake?
That would be a no. My youngest is a girl, but I would never do that with my son.
Yeah.
No, I don't think his dad would do that either.
Let me tell you something. If they did, be creepy. Now, that's not just the creepy part. The creepy part is that there is a Christian app that both of them have on their phone where they can monitor each other. And they are each other's what you call accountability partner. And what they did, let's let Mike Johnson explain exactly what he uses this app for.
It sends a report to your accountability partner. So my accountability partner right now is Jack, my son, right? And so he's 17. So he and I get a report of all the things that are on our phones or all of our devices once a week. If anything objectionable comes up, your accountability partner gets an immediate notice. I'm proud to tell you, my son he's got a clean slate. All right, but we get a report and it says, hey, no activity of concern, and it's really sensitive. It'll pick up almost anything. It looks for keywords, search terms, and also images, and it will send your accountability partner a blurred picture of the image. And so on occasion, I get one. I was just looking at the one from this week. I got on Jack, and it said, This is the only one that may be questionable, and it's this blurred image of two women talking in a live screen thing, and I zoom in and I have to unblur it, and it's two middle-aged teachers.
I have a bad feeling Jack one day is going to pick up his phone and see some very strange stuff coming from dads.
Or dad's just gonna get another phone or use his laptop. So
very true.
You're never gonna see what your dad is doing.
I think since he's probably the facilitator of this app, he could probably turn off his
I mean, just a thought, like we're gonna monitor each other's porn usage.
I don't know, man. I mean, I get
like, what is he's 17?
Yeah, exactly. He's 17 years old. And let me tell you something. I promise you, if that kid wants to watch porn, there's no fucking power on this planet that's stopping a 17-year-old
on his
looking at naked women. Yeah.
Or his laptop. It's his phone. You have an app to zap on.
Well, apparently they have it connected to all their devices, the iPad, the laptops, whatever. So, but
weird. Like, why do you want to know what your son is looking up? That is just so. He's 17. What the flip is wrong with you?
Now, of course, this is before he became, I guess, if you want to call it famous. You know, he was on some. This is on some church YouTube channel, and apparently they've taken it down at this point. But
because it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, why take it down if you think there's nothing wrong with it? In fact, that would have been my stance. I would have been like, we don't find anything wrong with it, so why are you taking it down? But I don't know. It's a little creepy to me.
It's very creepy.
Yeah,
he's very creepy. He's Mike Pence creepy. I don't know.
Oh, that's all those guys are super creepy. They just are. They're just weird. You calling your wife mother. You're not allowed in a room with another woman unless your wife is there. Like, what the fuck is that? What, like, seriously? You don't have that kind of control to be in a room with another woman? Is that the problem?
I should have asked you to grab a clip of Tim Scott introducing the world to his girlfriend.
Well, he's going to be able to spend a lot of time with his new girlfriend now because he has dropped out of the race. I don't know if his girlfriend is going to be happy about that. I think, she seemed like she was been there the whole time. And
he was like, I can't pretend anymore. I'm dropping out. I don't want a girlfriend.
It happened. That's exactly why he dropped out. She showed up to one, got some attention. She's like, hey, dude, fuck this. I can't do it anymore.
Like exactly like something. She's like, nah, you can't.
Or Tim Scott ran out of campaign funds to pay her.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's so true. Like, come on, Tim Scott. They made you do that.
Yeah. Very bizarre. So that, like I said, that whole side is just fucking weird. And that's what our country is going to look like someday if we don't get out and vote. And it is going to be awful. I mean, just awful. But before we go, there is one clip that had surfaced a little bit too on Twitter. And I'm still calling it Twitter. I'm not doing that X thing.
I'm not doing it X
either. And are you familiar with the musician Frank Zappa?
I do remember from back in the day.
Yeah. Yep. So Frank Zappa is a very eccentric musician. He had some songs that are just kind of off the wall, but very famous guy. And if you just knew of Frank Zappa from his music back in the day, you'd think he's some cuckoo, nutty, crazy person. But there's this clip of him on what appears to be a like one of those shows where a panel is sitting around and they're talking politics and stuff like this. And this guy obviously is very bright and very smart. And they were asking him about where the country, or the discussion led to where the country is heading. And he had some very interesting things to say. And this was during the Reagan administration. But listen to this clip and tell me how much you think it resonates today.
Frank?
Yeah, it has a number of purposes.
What is it?
I'm not going to give you a civics lesson here, but I'll tell you one thing. We must not see eye to eye on the idea of a government that must forbid things in order to protect
What is the
families.
government's role? You've told me several times what it shouldn't do.
How about national defense?
Yeah, I consider this national defense, pal. Our families are under attack from people like you with these lyrics.
John, you don't have to buy them.
Mr. Zappa, could I make a statement about national defense?
Yeah.
The biggest threat to America today is not communism. It's moving America toward a fascist theocracy. And everything that's happened during the Reagan administration is steering us right down that pipe.
Oh, Mr. Zappa, do you really think? I mean,
I really think that.
All kidding aside, in this...
Listen to the condescending voices of something that he was dead on about.
Country with the permissiveness that we are moving toward a fascist theocracy, anything goes.
We are, but
do you think things like this would have ever been permitted?
Smile again.
When we were 20, when we were kids, you're about my age, maybe
I'm
a little
45.
younger. Well, I'm 55. Do you think when I was a kid that they would permit songs like that to be sold? I mean, permissiveness is the game. I mean, you're not really serious if you're saying we're going toward a fascist theocracy.
That's right, we are.
Wait a minute.
In what way? Give me one example.
Wait.
One example of a fascist theocracy.
When you have a government that prefers a certain moral code derived from a certain religion, and that moral code turns into legislation to suit one certain religious point of view, and if that code happens to be very, very right-wing, almost toward Attila the Hun...
Well, then you are an anarchist. Every form of civil government is based on some kind of morality, Frank.
Morality in terms of behavior, not in terms of theology.
Well, of course. But look, I mean, I couldn't believe in your hearing.
John,
okay, wait a minute.
And that was the end of it. But man, that's a pretty telling clip. And he nailed it right on the head. And when he brought up the fact that when they're talking about morality, yes, there is a morality we all need to live by, but he is talking about behavior and not theology. And that's exactly the morality this new regime wants to have, even though their leader lacks any morality whatsoever.
Right. Wow. That's deep.
Yeah, that was. And it's just amazing too, that just he sits in there and hangs in there, and you could tell he knows exactly what he's saying and why he was saying it. And, and these guys are just shocked. Like, how could you possibly? Yeah. And that's exactly what the Reagan administration, what we are seeing today is, fast forwarding, you're seeing it now, is that that's where really a lot of this started. That's where a lot of this religious bullshit started. Religious people weren't very political back in the 70s and 60s and stuff. I'm not saying religious people didn't get into politics, but they weren't necessarily Republicans only. There were plenty of religious people because, of course, religion dominated the country for quite some time. And, Democrats and Republicans, it was almost like, of course we're going to church. Of course we're Christian. Of course we're doing this. But Ronald Reagan and his administration sort of saw an opportunity to say, hey, we can pull over these evangelicals who, because they don't want abortions. We don't want abortions. So now we're going to bring that into our politics. They brought it into the politics, which is now leading to this over the top, theocracy, as Frank Zappa talked about, and the direction they want this country to go. And that's exactly what they wanted to do back then. And they're trying to make come to fruition today. They did get the Roe versus Wade overturned that they've been trying for 50 years. And they're going to continue to try to get this country, into the Christian nationalist country that they want us to be.
Yeah.
Which I don't want at all. I don't want to get rid of Christianity. I think it,
of course not, but it has no place in politics. Like this world is very diverse. Everyone is not a Christian. Everyone is just not religious. Some Muslims. People should be able to who's to say Christianity is the right? Like, who's to say that? Why do you get to say that and then put it in our laws? Like, it's ridiculous.
Do you know Ricky Gervais, the comedian?
Yes.
Oh, I heard the perfect answer to that when he was on Stephen Colbert, and Stephen Colbert was asking about it. And Stephen Colbert is a big Catholic. So they were asking about, he was like, you don't believe in God at all. And he was like, I don't, And so he was asking Stephen Colbert, he goes, do you believe in God? He's like, yes, I do. He goes, and how many gods really are there out there? Like 3,000 different gods. So basically what I'm saying is that I don't believe one less God than you. It's just, or you believe one less God than me. So so you don't believe in the other 2,999 gods. You just believe in yours.
Right.
I just believe in one less
than yours.
Yeah. I mean, it was a perfect answer. I mean, that's just, I don't know how you even combat that. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it is 9:30, Miss Lana.
Oh my God.
And I know you were sick over the weekend, and I know you're probably feeling better, or you're needing to go to sleep, I would imagine.
I'm like, I want to get on the treadmill. But before we sign off, I wanted to say salute to Ruby Bridges. November 14th, 1960, Ruby Bridges integrated the first school in the United States.
The first what?
First school.
School. Oh, okay.
Ruby Bridges.
Nice.
The little girl that integrated first.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. That is correct. Is today the anniversary?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And earlier this year, Florida school, I think it was called Pete Elementary. I forget what part of Florida that's in. I don't know. Mm-hmm. They banned the Disney movie about Ruby Bridges because they were showing the movie. Parents could opt in or parents could opt out. So they were polite enough to not just show the Ruby Bridges movie.
Why would you not want to see it?
60 parents opted in. 2 parents opted out. Of the 2 parents that opted out, because there's always one asshole, filed a complaint and said that the movie had some slurs in it. It had white people yelling at black people, so it would make kids think that white people hate black people. So
you do not want to indoctrinate those children with your white guilt. Yeah.
So they removed the movie.
I don't know when that
one parent. You have 60 parents that opted in. How do you remove it because of one parent?
Because we got a fucking crazy country. But again, I've watched movies like that when I was growing up. So I'm not exactly sure when this movement started, when kids decided that it's an indoctrination or is a white guilt sort of thing if they see any of these movies. I'm sure these parents probably let their kids watch way worse, that, probably not the healthiest thing in the world for them. But, because this isn't something they came up with on their own. They know this is sort of a thing now to do. So if they find any opportunity or any window that's open, they're like, wait, what are you watching in school? Oh, it has the N-word in it, and it's white people calling the black girl the N-word. No, you're not indoctrinating my children with that. And I'm like, wait, what?
Powerless people trying to get some power and to do something. They just probably didn't even watch the movie, just kind of like Google some shit and say, oh no, we can't have that. Like, Disney movie. Like, how bad is it going to be? It's a Disney movie. So what slurs are going to be in there? They're not putting an N-word in a Disney movie. Like, we know that that's not happening.
Yeah, but you just said that school is in Florida. Disney is the enemy to Ron DeSantis in Florida. So if you are a Ron DeSantis fan, then you are not allowed to like anything Disney.
That is true.
Yeah. So
meanwhile, I bet he takes his kids to Disney movies. Stop playing right.
There's no question. He got married at Disney World.
I heard that.
Yeah.
I saw the picture.
Yeah.
They put the picture online.
Why can't he smile correctly?
Because he's not accustomed. He's unhappy.
I mean, he does that tongue thing now, and he's all over the place, and
like he absolutely just hates everything he does not genuinely look like he's happy. Like, he just doesn't look happy. Ron DeSantis reminds me of someone who never wanted to do any of this stuff, but thought that it was just a logical course of his life.
Yeah.
He probably wanted to fucking play baseball or do something, whatever, and never like he just looks miserable.
Yeah,
He
that's
doesn't look
exactly
happy
right.
with his
He's not
family.
doing what he always wanted to
No.
do. And now he found himself into something where he's like, fuck, I guess this is my life now. So I might as well try to take it as far as I can.
Yeah.
And plus, I got this probably the wife is telling me, I'm better. You need to do
Yeah.
this and you need to be better. And you need to, and he's like, oh, fuck. And I'm like, now I got to be, manlier and I got to do all this shit. And now I got to wear fucking lifts in my boots to look taller. And it's like, dude, you're a clown.
And I got
Who gives
to
a
call
fuck?
DeSantis and not DeSantis. How my
I
pretend
know.
really?
Like, who cares how tall he is? Is anybody going to go into the voting booth and vote? I mean, this guy got record numbered votes in the state of Florida, and nobody asked about how tall he was. I don't understand why this is a thing. And why is he wearing fucking boots?
He looks miserable. He looks miserable when he's with his wife. He looks miserable when he's with his kid.
Yeah, he does. He looks corny. He looks uncomfortable.
Yeah.
How did he win here? I just don't get it. I don't understand. Well, he won here because in his commercials in the beginning, everything was, oh, Mr. Trump, my kid, he's building the wall. And that's, I mean, it's like, it's so goofy and corny that, Trump mania and Trump fever took over at the time. And I guess that's how he won the first time. And then somehow he became a cult hero here in Florida. So he blew out his opponent.
Christie was never.
Charlie Crist.
Charlie Crist is never.
Yeah. Now, he was a former Republican turned Democrat, and he just wasn't, even though you watch the debates, which, by the way, I mean, I'm not even sure how many people are watching the presidential debates anymore. Nobody's watching governor debates. They just aren't. I mean, sometimes you don't even know where to find them. You don't even know what time they're on, what day. Right. Usually they're on a Friday night, in the States. So, Charlie Crist could have done as well as he could and got little clips here and there on the debate. It wouldn't have mattered. He already had that race won before it was over. But, like I said, I don't understand why, if you are such a Donald Trump lover and you think he's the greatest president of all time, why are you running against him? What's the point?
Right.
And especially, he seems like he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to be there.
He doesn't. He really, really just looks miserable.
Do you take the same joy in that I do?
Yeah. There's a few guys. I mean, R.I.P. Mary Trump.
Yep.
I mean, that happened.
Yeah.
Trump didn't say nothing about it.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh my gosh. I don't know. We've got one little under a year until the next election. And it's gonna be very interesting. But at the end of the day, I do believe, I think we were scared in 2020 leading up to the election, thinking that Donald Trump was going to win. There was no clear indication that Joe Biden was going to beat him until election day. That's really what it turned out to be. Yeah. And, when it comes down to it, the census are going to come out, and there's going to be enough language between today and that election that if you vote for this guy, I promise you, and if you sit home because you didn't like the way, and by the way, the Israeli-Palestinian thing is going to be so far out of Americans' minds by that time, unless something major happens within that time, they won't even think about it anymore. They just won't. Just like the fucking Afghanistan thing where people say that's going to ruin Joe Biden. Nobody's talking about Afghanistan. They stopped talking about it a week after it happened.
Right. And abortion bans will still be around.
100%.
I can't imagine college students being pissed about what's going on in Israel and
well, the college students proved in this very last election in Virginia and in Ohio.
Exactly.
And they weren't thinking about.
Yeah, right. This is more important than
correct.
I mean, that's important, of course, but our presidency, who's our president is,
it's important for you and I, but for them, this is going to be their future. This is going to be, what they're going to have to live with for the rest of their lives. Yeah. And you've got a guy that is not below, if he gets in with a Republican Senate, which now that Joe Manchin is stepping down, That's assuredly a Senate seat for West Virginia. There's almost no
Oh,
question for the
absolutely. Unless
Republicans.
we flip somewhere else, like
Florida is a slight possibility. Tim Scott, I know it sounds like it's close right now, but again, you can't pay too much attention to the polls. You know, the Republicans like John Tester in where is he? He's one of the Dakotas, I believe. He's got to hold on to his seat, and there's a few others. And hopefully they can flip one or two. But my point is, if the Republicans keep the House, which I feel a little bit better after all the gerrymandering maps that have been changed, and the Supreme Court has even said, no, we need to change these maps to something that's more fair.
Right.
I think the Democrats have a good chance in the House. The Senate is going to be tough.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, you hold on to one of the two, and obviously the presidency, but we need to get to a point where we can change some things to make sure none of this authoritarian kind of shit happens again. But anyway, it's 9:40. So do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No. I don't.
We've talked
Good night,
enough, right?
everybody. I know.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. We will be back next Tuesday. If you have any questions for me, you can email me at runshousepodcast@gmail.com. You can also leave comments for either one of us. Lana won't read them because she doesn't give a fuck what you have to say. And you know, if you leave some comments, I'll probably answer them. So other than that, we thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys next week.
Please like, share, and subscribe.
Damn it. I knew you had something else to say. I knew it. I can feel it. I can feel it. All right. Well, it's good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too. See you next week.
All right. Bye.